Hi there, in this section we will see more about the data property and we will also learn about methods. So let's start. Alright, so I am back again in my Sublime text editor and this is the previous example that we have already seen in the previous section. Now in this example, this age property and this name property are reactive. Now why they are reactive? Because they were included in the data property during the creation of this Vue instance. Okay, now let's try to create a property, but this time we are not creating this property during the creation of the Vue instance, but instead we will be creating this property outside of this instance. So let's create here a new property. So vm dot, let's say, gender, and let's assign a value as male. Now let's try to print this property in a paragraph. So let's say p gender. Okay, now here we will get one error since Vue is unable to find this gender property inside its instance. Okay, so let's see in the browser. So let me refresh. As you can see, it says property or method gender is not defined on the instance. So it means Vue is unable to find this gender property. Now that's one thing, and also if we check if it's reactive or not, so let's check it. So let me clear out the console first. Now let's say vm.gender equal to female. As you can see, we definitely got this female, but the thing is it's not reacting here. Okay, so it means this gender property is not reactive because it's not included within the data property when we are creating the Vue instance. Alright, so we have seen the reactivity for the properties inside the data. Now one more important thing that I would like to point out here is that the properties that we define within the data are pointing to the same reference. Now what does that mean? So basically, let's say we have a name and a age property. So now whenever we change the value of name or age property, it will reflect the change to wherever we have used that property. Okay, so let's say we have used name and age like this, and let's say if we change the name property to, let's say, John, then wherever we have used this name property, it will reflect the changes like this. Okay, so let's see an example and try to understand this. Okay, so I am back again in my Sublime text editor, and as we can see, we have this name property here. So let me use this name property multiple times. So p name. Okay, let me copy it few more times. Okay, now if we change this name property to a different value, then it will reflect the change to all of this name property. So let's check this in the browser. So as you can see, it's showing the same value for the name property, which is John. Now let me open up the console section. And now if I change the value of the name property to something else, so let's say vm.name equals to Alvin. So basically it means the name property refers to the same reference. Alright, so I hope it's clear now, but if you didn't understand that, that's okay, because we will see more about the data in the component section. Alright, so we have seen how we can define properties in our data. Now let's see how we can define methods and use it. Okay, so let's give a comma here. And in order to define methods, you need to use methods property and then pass an object. And remember one thing, that these methods and data and this el must be exactly the same as it is. Okay, you can't write el like els or data like datas, and neither you can write method. Okay, you must write methods in order to define methods. So let's define a method. Now in this methods object, you can provide whatever the name you want for the method. So let's say welcome here. and you need to assign an anonymous function for that. So function, okay. Now let's simply return a string here. Let's say return hello world. Alright, so we have defined this method called welcome, and it's simply returning this string. Now let's see how we can call this method. So inside the p tag, again we will use string interpolation to print out the result of this welcome method. So welcome, and in order to call the method, you might know we need to provide parentheses. Now let's check in the browser. Okay, we can see here hello world. Alright, now what if we want to access some property from this data here inside our method? So let's say we have a property called day which says morning, and let's define one more method here with the name as show message. Alright, now how we can access this day property inside our method? So in order to access the day property inside this method, you need to access by using this keyword. So for like this dot day, okay, you can't directly access the property with its name like this. Okay, you must provide this dot then the property name which is day. So let's write a simple if else condition. Okay, so let's say if this dot day equals to morning, return good morning. Okay, now let's write one more condition within else if, which is this dot day equals to afternoon, then we need to return good afternoon. Okay, and if it's neither morning nor afternoon, then we will use else statement to return good night. Okay, now let's call this method within our paragraph. So within our string interpolation, we are calling show message and then provide the parentheses. Now let's see in the browser. Okay, so we are seeing this good morning because the day is set to morning. So if we change the day property to something else like vm.day equals to afternoon, then as you can see it's showing us good afternoon. Now if we again change the day property to something else like night, then as you can see it's showing the good night message. Now as you can see it's showing the good night message. Okay, so that was our method and data property, and in the next section we will see about the life cycle hook. Till then, if you enjoy this video, please leave a like and please subscribe to my channel.